the research webinar this afternoon. And for this afternoon, let me introduce our second speaker. He is a cum laude graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in mathematics at Cavite State University Imus campus in year 2018. He took and passed his licensure examination for professional teachers in the year 2019. He teaches both junior and senior high school students with the subjects of mathematics and general mathematics on his third year in the institution. Moreover, he is now taking his master's degree with the program of Master of Arts in Mathematics Education with specialization in college teaching at the Philippine Normal University, Manila. At this point, let us all welcome our speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Jerome Ramos.
Nung umpisa tayo nagawa ng research, no, what have we observed is we already done doing the title, the proposal, di ba? Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 until we have to gather the data, no? And what happened next, syempre, hindi mawawala sa pagiging researcher natin yung defense, no? This is my research and this is my result. But the problem is when you are about to present your result, there are some discrepancy happen. And the reaction of the panel and your research advisors will be like this, no? Yung tipong mapapasabi na lang sila na, what happened? Maganda yung flow ng title, maganda yung proposal. Pagdating sa result, there will be some problems occurred. So one thing na nakita ko doon, I am also became a panel last 2 years, face-to-face pa yon, no? So there will be some problem in terms of their treatment used in a given research. And for today, let me present this, no, but I want you to have a positive mind in terms of creating the research, and in the end, I hope after this, no, after knowing things about what I'm going to discuss, you can say this to yourselves. You can say this to your research advisor. I have done that research. And now, formally started, no, we are going to discuss two things that is commonly asked as a researcher, especially when you are dealing with quantitative research. So what are those? First one is we're going to ask how to choose the right inferential statistics treatment. Ito yung pinaka main goal natin, and sometimes this is also the problem happened kasi after you gather the data, mali pala yung treatment na binigay mo, the problem will occur. Ibig sabihin, you need to do all those things again and again, no? And of course, how to perform inferential quantitative analysis. So on this part, no, the main heart of the given of statistics is how we are going to interpret the data. Hindi yan about to gather the data lang, but then the main heart ng mismo statistics natin is how are you going to interpret. And sometimes, si statisticians, they are about to give their interpretation on the data, but then si researcher, mali ng pagkakaintindi on that interpretation na binigay. That is because we lack of this what we call basic. Kulang tayo ng basic. And by that, I will give you some tips, I will give you some techniques on how are we going to choose for those treatments. Okay? This is somehow applicable to me when I am about to do my research about quantitative analysis. Okay. But before that, let us have first some recap of what we have discussed, no, from the very start about descriptive up to inferential. Okay, so what would be the process behind those quantitative research? Okay, so let me tell you a given story. Okay. So, for example, I am a teacher, of course, and as you can see, I'm going to get the scores of my students in a class. Then, while checking the papers and knowing the results of my student, what happened is I observed something from those results. First thing is majority of my student failed the examination. The next is 65% of boys failed the examination. And last one is 35% of girls failed the given examination. So by means of this, we apply descriptive statistics. We are just about to describe what is in the scores that we have. Okay, that is what we call descriptive statistics. Now, gusto kong taasan. I need to explain why does the exam or why does the scores of the student is low. Sobrang baba. So ngayon, I'm going beyond the data. Now I'm going to have my inferential statistics. The first thing I will do is I will going to know if there is a difference between the scores of male and female. Baka there will be some discrepancies on how they understand the subject or the topic I have, okay, from both male and female. And by that, after I know the difference between them, no, I can say na pwede nating makuha na talagang mataas talaga yung scores ng males from that part, from that exam, or mababa talaga yung score ni female from that exam, no, by means of comparing. And I need to get ng mas mataas pa, okay, on this part. Ito ay we are just getting the difference of those two groups. Now, taasan natin siya. I want to know the reason why they are failing the exam, no? So, on this part, I am going to connect or get the relationship of the given score to one of the given problem. So, napansin ko kasi, so most of the students have sleep deprivation before the exam. So, ngayon, i-connect ko sila. I'm going to create a relationship between them. And by that, doon magsisimula yung inferential, another types of inferential statistics. We are getting the relationship of them. And I find out that on this part, there is a connection between the scores and the sleep deprivation of my students. And by that, lumabas sa result na when the hours of the sleep is lower, what happened to the scores becomes lower as well. That is how we apply descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. That is why they are connected to one another. We cannot create any inferential statistics if we cannot have a descriptive one. Okay? That is just a background of what we have discussed from the morning session. And for today, we're going to proceed on answering the two questions I gave to you, no? The first one is how to choose the right inferential statistics treatment. Okay, ito yung pinakamahirap gawin. But then, simply, para mas mapadali natin siya, you are just going to answer 3 questions. 3 tanong lang. So what are those 3 questions? The first question is, from your research, what will you do with the given data you have? Dapat alam mo yung pinaka-process na gagamitin mo or ano yung gagawin mo sa mismong data na meron ka. That would be the first question. The second question is, what type of data do you have in a given research? So, by means of knowing the data or what type of data do you have, mas makikita mo yung pinaka-treatment na pwede nating gamitin. And lastly, how many samples do you have? On this part, in descriptive part kasi, we are just dealing with one variable that is being tested or that is being described in a given sample. This time, we are dealing with 2 or more for us to identify those some factors affecting the others and such, no? So that is the question number 3. How many samples do you have? Okay, and now let us proceed with discussing the first question. What will you do with the data? In terms of inferential statistics, we are just dealing with 2 processes. The first one is, are we going to compare the data? And the other one is, are we going to create association between the data? So when we say comparing the data, we are looking for the significant difference. Or simply, we are just getting if there is any similarities between those variables that we have. And of course, dito rin, in terms of comparing, if you are trying to compare those data, we can also try to find out if there is a given treatment or is that given treatment you have on the given research. For example, ito yung mga researches na merong intervention na ibibigay to cause a given change. We are going to compare those changes. Okay? If it is effective or not. Okay? Those are the goals of the first inferential statistics that we have, no? Inferential statistic in a form of comparison. The next one is in a form of association. So in terms of associating the data that we have, the first thing is we trying to find out how does one variable affects the other variable that we have. We are just going to know gaano ba nakakaapekto yung first variable from the other. Later we're going to give an example about that. The next one, is there any correlation? Ito yung madalas natin nakikita sa mga research questions, no? Is there any correlation between two variables? Next one is, does a given variable affects the other variable? So on this part, we're just trying to find out if there is a relationship, no? Lastly, is there a significant relationship between variables? So that is the on how are we going to distinguish the two? Is when we are comparing, we're just getting the difference between two sets. Okay? And when we are associating, we are getting the connection between variables. Okay? That is associations of the given inferential statistics. Okay? That is the question number 1. If you can identify kung kino-compare mo lang ba yung data or nag-associate ka ng data, mas maganda. Kasi mas magiging concise yung magiging data nyo. There's a lot of treatment na possible nating gamitin. But then what we can do is we can reduce the choices. Okay? Next one is question number 2. What type of data do you have? This one is already discussed by Sir Gab, no? The first session natin. So on this part, we have 4 specific data, no, types of data, ratio, interval, ordinal, and nominal. We are just going to sum up things about what we have discussed from the morning session. First thing is, all of them can be in a form of label. They have their own label. Kumbaga, if we have nominal data, there is a specific label given on a given variable. Binibigyan natin siya ng pangalan. And everything, in terms of the scores, even the scores, if you got the scores of 35, that 35 is considered to have a label. Okay? May pangalan siya. And of course, in terms of meaningful order, sino lang ba dito sa 4 na to considered to have meaningful order? Or we can rank them kung sino yung mataas sa mababa. Kasi in this one, nominal data don't have that one. Okay? Kasi hindi natin siya ma-arrange kung sino doon yung mataas or mababa. For example, we have the gender. We cannot identify sino doon yung mas mataas. Okay, in terms of female and male. So therefore, in terms of meaningful order, we have ratio, interval, and ordinal. Okay? In terms of measurable difference naman, we are getting the interval between 2 sets of scores that we have. No? If we get that, we have this what we call ratio and interval data. Okay? If there is a measurable difference between those variables that we have or those scores that we have, it is on the part of ratio and interval. Ano yung pagkakaiba lang ni ratio and interval is we have true zero value pagdating kay ratio. Nag-e-exist yung zero value pagdating kay ratio. And I just want you to analyze then as well on how are you going to find the treatment if you are using parametric study or parametric data, or you are using non-parametric data. And for this, if you identify your data as an ordinal and nominal, we can say it is non-parametric. And if it is in ratio and interval, we can say it is parametric. Okay, that is the second question. What type of data do you have? Okay, let us proceed with the third one. Okay, for the third one, how many samples do you have? How are you going to know the number of samples do you have? Simply, it is 2 or more samples lang naman ang titingnan natin dito, no? So here, as you can see, we can differentiate them by 1 sample and 2 or more samples. In 1 samples, of course, we are just dealing with 1 sample or in the given population, hindi na natin dinedefine or hinahati yung pinakamismong sample natin. Okay? And the other one is on a given population, after we got the given sample, hinahati natin sila sa dalawa, sa tatlo, or even more. Okay? So kapag ganon, we can consider it as dependent or independent sample. Okay? So how are we going to distinguish if it is dependent or independent? Isa-isahin natin. Let us start first with dependent, no? For the dependent, we are just dealing with one group. Okay? Sir, para lang din siya palang one sample. Yes. But then, on that one group, we are dealing with two variables connected on one group. Okay? Kino-compare natin, if we are having this dependent sample, we are trying to compare two results from one person. So kumbaga, kapag nagpasagot ka sa mga respondents mo at kumukuha ka ng dalawang measurement on that person, it means that you are using dependent samples. Okay? Because those two data you are getting from one person is galing lang sa kanya and dependent yon dalawa sa kanya. Okay? That is what we call dependent sample. The next one is independent. So, in this part, kapag ang sample mo naman is you are going to divide the sample into 3 or more groups, ang tawag natin, or 2 or more groups, ang tawag natin doon ay independent sample. On this part is, for example, a given sample of Unida Christian College's students. We are going to divide that or split that into 2 in terms of gender, male and female. So on that part, they are not connected to one another. Hindi sila there is no connection in terms of those two groups. Okay, so therefore, it is in a form of independent. Hindi makakaapekto yung unang grupo sa pangalawang grupo. That is why it is called independent. Okay, and it could lead to 2 or more samples, depend on the given research that you have. Okay, so that is question number 3. Now let us have to summarize those 3 questions that I gave to you, no, to identify the given treatment that you're going to have. Do not overwhelmed with the names of the given treatment. So here we have one sample t-test, t-test dependent sample, t-test independent sample, analysis of variance, which is yung kilalang kilala, person-R correlation for those things. Okay, so as you can see here, we are going to answer first question, what are you going to do with the data? Simply you're just going to compare or associate. Okay? After knowing that, you're going to find also what type of data do you have. It's either in a form of parametric or in a form of non-parametric data. Kapag parametric, we have ratio and interval. Kapag non-parametric, we have nominal and ordinal. Okay? And number 3 question, how many samples do you have? It's either 1 sample or 2 sample. Pagdating kay 2 sample, we are going to distinguish if it is dependent sample or independent sample. Now we are going to discuss all those parametric studies. But then later, bakit hindi ko i-discuss sinan parametric, malalaman nyo rin. Okay, so start tayo kay parametric studies, no? Or treatment rather. So let us start first on one sample t-test. Kailan natin pwedeng gamitin si one sample? First is we are just going to compare the data. If you are about to compare the data, we are using one sample t-test. Okay, and if we are dealing with parametric data, okay, the type of the data that we have is parametric, either ratio or interval, we can use one sample t-test. Particularly, depends on the given number of sample. If you are dealing with just one sample, it means that, obviously, you are dealing with one sample t-test. Okay, so by means of answering those 3 questions, kaya na nating ma-distinguish kung ano yung treatment na pwede nyong pagsimulan ng research. Okay, that is the first one, one sample t-test. Okay, so discuss natin ano bang meron kay one sample t-test, no? On this part, you have the main data. Okay, you are going to get the scores and the given data. For example, the height of the given person, okay, on EMUS, for example. Okay, and you are going to connect that on a specific data. Sir, isa lang naman yung kinuha mong data from that given sample. Kanino mo siya i-connect? So in one sample t-test, we are trying to find the statistical difference between a given mean and a given hypothesized value. Okay, saan natin kukuhain yung hypothesis value na yon? For example, kinuha natin yung expected value. For example, in here in UCC, we have this what we call UCAT exam, no? And that UCAT exam, we have this what we call target score. Okay? We are trying to find out if yung scores ng mga bata ngayon, if they are about to take that exam, is comparable doon sa ating target score. Or kung same ba sila, or there is a difference ba doon sa given expected value na gusto nating makuha sa mga bata. On by that, we are dealing with one sample t-test. Aside from that, we can have the benchmark, no? Those are in terms of standards naman. Kung may bibigay tayong standard na, for example, according to the research, no, we can connect it with research then or literature reviews, no. According to the research, the height of the Filipino people in the Philippines, syempre, is in terms of male is in 5'4", for example. Just like that, no. There is a benchmark or there is a standard na kino-compare natin based yung data na kinukuha natin ngayon. Okay? And lastly, we can have it hypothetically. Okay? So mag-a-assume lang tayo na it can be the result. Pwedeng ito yung maging result niya afterwards. Okay? So that is on how we are going to use one sample t-test. We're just going to get the scores and connect it with just only one value. Okay? Isang value lang yung tinitignan natin. Consider to be it is standard. It is expected, a form of benchmark on a given company, for example, or is a form of just a hypothetical value. Okay? Just a guess lang, no? So another thing na pwede rin dito in terms of one sample t-test is by identifying the statistical difference between change scores and zero. On this part, for example, ako, magte-take ako, together with me, my sample, magte-take kami ng exam, post-test and pre-test. I'm going to get the difference of that scores and I'm going to compare it to zero. Bakit kay zero natin i-compare? We know if we have the difference that is zero, it means that there's no totally difference at all. But then if there will be exact value, for example, it is negative or positive, kapag negative, ibig sabihin mas bumaba yung score mo. Kapag positive naman, yung nakuha nating difference, ibig sabihin mas tumaas yung score mo. Nagkaroon ka ng gain scores. By that, we can use one sample t-test. We are just comparing the difference of those scores to the given zero value. Okay? Kay zero lang natin siya kino-compare. So be careful on using one sample t-test. Next one is t-test dependent. So paano natin mako-consider na you are going to use t-test dependent sample? First, what are you going to do with the data? The first one is you're going to compare the data. The next one is, what type of data do you have in this? It should be in parametric data. And lastly, is how many samples do you have? And this part, it is two sample, specifically dependent sample. By that, we can say it is a t-test dependent sample, yung gagamitin nating treatment in a given research. Let me give you the process on how are we going to deal with t-test dependent sample. Okay? So for example, we have here one group. We know, di ba, pag sinabi nating t-test dependent, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kapag t-test dependent sample, we are just dealing with one group. Okay? But then we are going to get two samples from that, two variables from that one group. Let us have a given example. On t-test dependent sample, we are trying to find out a statistical difference between two time points. For example, the before and after scores. Okay? So we are going, ako magte-take ako ng exam, but then this time, ang i-compare ko is kung may pagbabago ba from before and after. Ano yung pagkakaiba niya kanina sa one sample t-test? Kanina, kinuha muna natin yung difference. Pinag-subtract muna natin yung dalawa, yung before score and after scores. Okay? Pero dito, hindi natin siya pagsusubtract. We are just going to compare those two, before and after scores. Okay? Next one is statistical difference between two conditions. Dito papasok yung experimental, no? There is a control variable and the other one is experimental variable. So dito mapapansin nyo si t-test dependent sample possible siyang gamitin as a part of experimental. Bakit? For example, if I'm going to find out the effectivity of a lotion sa skin ko. Okay? So what I can do is from my left hand or left arm, ang gagamitin ko is commercial na lotion. And from the right arm, ang gagamitin ko naman is yung pinaka-experiment, yung pinaka-ginawa kong lotion. Okay? So now, if I'm going to compare the two, I am going to use t-test dependent. Isa lang yung ginamit kong tao, pero dalawang treatment yung binigay sa akin. Okay? So that is statistical difference between two condition. Aside from that, pwede rin naman, for example, in terms of fruits, gusto mo mas, in terms of plants, for example, scientific kasi ito. So, in terms of plant naman, dalawang klaseng plant, you're going to deal with only one plant. For example, malunggay plant, for example. So, in terms of malunggay, no, so, magbibigay ka ng treatment on those two groups pa rin siya, pero we are going to consider it one. Bakit? Kasi parehas naman siyang malunggay plant. Walang pagkakaiba in terms of their characteristics. So, gagamitan natin sila ng parehas na ng magkaibang treatment, control variable na treatment, and experimental variable, and we are going to compare. By that, we are going to use t-test dependent sample. Let us proceed with the next one. Statistical difference between two measurements. Okay, so on this part, we are dealing with trials. Trial 1, trial 2, trial 3. We are going to compare. Okay, for example, from trial 1, yung unang mong try, for example, running, for example, no? So in terms of sprint, for example, you're going to get the time involved for the trial 1, and you're going to compare that on the time nung nag-try ka, nag-trial 2 ka. So you're going to compare, may pagbabago pa after kung tumakbo ng pangalawang. And ako lang din ang tumakbo, ako lang din yung from the trial 1, ako lang din ang gumawa for the trial 2. Okay? Next is statistical difference between matched pairs. This time, may pagbabago lang tayo. Okay, we're going to get one thing from a given sample, considered to be paired. What are those examples, no? So, ngayon, makikita nyo dun sa ating illustration, no? They are connected with the given data, yung dalawang tao na tinutukoy ko dito. Considered to be paired. For example, I'm dealing with husband and wife. Okay, if I'm dealing with those two, and ang kinukuha ko ay their marital happiness nila, no? So what will happen is, I'm going to compare kung masaya pa ba yung babae or yung wife dun sa husband niya, or masaya pa ba yung husband niya dun sa wife niya. Okay, by that, we are going to compare them in pair. Okay, in pair natin siya. Or pwede rin namang their idea about abortion. Okay, just like that, no? What would be their perspective in terms of abortion, and you're going to create Likert scale about that. We can compare their perspective from the side of the female wife and the side of the male, which is the husband. So by that, we are going to deal with statistical difference between matched pairs. Okay, that is t-test dependent sample. Isa lang, pero dalawang treatment, dalawang intervention ang binigay sa kanya. Okay? The next one, we are dealing with t-test independent sample. So kapag sinabi nating t-test independent sample, first, of course, we're going to compare the data. We're just going to compare the data, and it is parametric. Okay, parametric yung pinaka-data natin. And lastly, how many samples do we have? We have 2 samples, particularly independent sample. But then this part, we are dealing with just exactly 2 samples. Okay, tatandaan, 2 samples lang tayo. Okay, kapag lumagpas ng 3 yan, iba na yung gagamitin nating treatment. Okay, ang tawag natin dyan ay t-test independent sample. Compare parametric data, independent sample with 2 groups. Okay, so proceed tayo. How are we going to give the process for the t-test independent sample? Okay. So the first thing is statistical difference between 2 groups. Ito yung madalas na ginagawa. No? For example, we have 2 different groups, male and female. Magta-take ng exam. Same exam ang iti-take. So we're just going to compare about is there any statistical difference between their scores? Okay, as simple as that. Yun yung pinakamadaling t-test independent sample. The second one is yung considered to be statistical difference between means of 2 intervention. Ito yung medyo malala, or kailangan ng tamang process for us to have a correct result in the end. So paano po ito, no? On this part, we have one group. Isa lang yung pinaka-group natin. We are going to split that into two groups. Okay? Hahatiin natin sila randomly. Okay? Hindi tayo pwedeng mamili, no? Na nandito si crush niya, pagsasamahin mo sila, hindi pwede. So, random natin siyang gagawin. Okay? So, what we are going to do here is from that two sets of group considered to be not defined. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin siya hinahati into category. Nawala po yung mic. Nawala po yung mic. Hello? Meron? Okay. Hindi lang ako sanay. Okay, so in this part, we're going to deal with two interventions. Okay, so anong gagawin nila? Magte-take sila ng different intervention. The first group is, meron naman. Okay, the first group is we're going to have controlled group. Okay, and the other one is experimental group. Okay, so what we are going to do is they are going to take an exam afterwards, after the intervention happened. So, i-compare natin kung may pagbabago pa on those two groups natin. Okay, if there will be, ang ginagamit natin dito is t-test independent sample. If you are trying to find out if those two intervention has the same or different in terms of the result. Okay, magbabago ba yung idea or magbabago ba yung comprehension nila, for example, after watching the video, and yung isa naman after reading. Okay, so those are the things na pwede nating gawin. The next one is statistical difference between the mean of two change scores. So ano yung tinutukoy natin dito? It is just the same as the first one. We're going to have two groups. We're just going to take the exam, parehas na exam, but then this time, they are going to what? They are going to get the pre-test and post-test. Okay? Pre-test score and the post-test score on both group. Okay? And after that, i-compare ngayon natin in terms of their change scores. Tingnan natin kung sino sa kanilang dalawa. For example, si ABM students and the other one is STEM students. Tinignan natin kung magkakaroon ba ng gain ng knowledge. Sino yung may mas mataas na gain in terms of knowledge or learning pagdating sa general mathematics. So umpisa, bago magpasukan is nagtitake sila ng exam. Okay, then afterwards, after the intervention, after the teaching process na nangyari, sa pagtuturo ni teacher, parehas na teacher tayo doon. So what will happen is, in the end, magte-take ulit sila ng another exam. Okay? Yung ABM, i-compare natin yung change ng scores nila doon sa scores ng mga STEM student. And titingnan natin sino yung may mas mataas na gain. And titingnan natin if there is significant on that change. Okay? So that is t-test independent sample. Okay? Dalawang grupo na considered to be defined. Okay? So it's just like in terms of alcohol consumption, drinkers and non-drinkers. Just like that, no? So we are going to define the one group. Okay. So this one, sabi ko nga, merong involvement of time. So the past and the present scores. Okay, proceed tayo kay analysis of variance. So anong meron pag sinabi nating analysis of variance? Ito yung mas kilala. First one, they are about to compare the data in a parametric data. And how many samples do we have in analysis of data? In analysis of data, it is independent sample, but then this time, we are going to deal with two or more sample. Okay, independent sample with two or more groups. Okay, we are going to define two or more groups. Okay, it is just like how t-test independent sample works. Parehas sila, but then this time, mas marami lang kasi yung kaya niyang i-compare. Okay, that is analysis of variance. And we have two types of analysis of variance. We have one-way ANOVA and we have two-way ANOVA. What would be the difference, no? In terms of one-way ANOVA, we have one group that is being defined by means of, for example, in terms of BMI nila, overweight, underweight, okay, and so on and so forth, no? And they are going to compare with one data. Okay? For example, yun nga, about their height. Okay? Kung naapektuhan ba sila yung BMI nila about, for example, like their lifestyle. Okay, in terms of their lifestyle, no, we're going to connect on that. So, we're going to use one-way ANOVA. Kasi isa lang yung test na binibigay natin doon sa tatlong group. Okay, or 3 or more groups. Okay? And how about two-way ANOVA? So, pagdating kay two-way ANOVA, we have 2 or more groups na kino-compare, which is considered to be defined. Okay? 2 more groups na considered to be defined. What does it mean po? For example, kino-compare natin yung BMI. Okay? Kaya to. Kino-compare natin yung BMI ng groups natin. Okay? The first one is alcohol consumption, non-drinkers and drinkers. Ko-compare natin kung naapektuhan ba yung BMI nila. The other one is smokers naman. Non-smokers and smokers, no? Iko-compare din natin yung BMI nila. And at the same time, yung interaction nung dalawa. Iko-compare natin kung ikaw ba ay nag-iinom at ikaw din ay naninigarilyo, maapektuhan yung BMI mo? Or kapag ikaw ay naninigarilyo lang, maapektuhan din ba yung BMI mo? Or kapag ikaw ay nag-iinom lang talaga, maapektuhan din ba yung BMI mo? So by that, that is two-way ANOVA. Okay. So that is analysis of variance. One-way and two-way ANOVA. Okay, let us now proceed with the next one. Pearson R correlation. So punta na tayo in terms of getting the relationship. Okay, this time, we're going to associate the data. And the next one is, it is in a form of parametric data. Kailangan ratio and interval kapag gagamit tayo ng Pearson R correlation. Okay? So that will be our treatment. Let us start. The first one is correlation with and between the set of variables, no? So we are going to have one group, okay? Dalawang treatment or dalawang variable ang kino-compare natin, just like kanina, no? Yung scores ng bata and the other one is sleep deprivation. So titingnan natin if paano naapektuhan or what happened to the given data kapag mataas yung scores ng mga bata. Okay? What happened kapag konti yung tulog ng bata, what will happen to the scores ng bata? So by that, we're going to use Pearson R correlation. Okay? For example naman din, height and weight. Paano nakaka-apekto yung height dun sa given weight natin, no? So kapag ba mas mataas yung height natin, mas mabigat tayo, or kapag mas mababa yung height natin, mas magaan tayo. So those are the things that we are going to have in terms of Pearson R correlation. Sometimes in Pearson R correlation, we could get the correlation of them, but then there are no relationship at all. Kaya natin kuhain yung correlation nila, yung relationship nila in terms of kung tumaas ba or bumaba yung data natin. Okay, kung parehas ba tumaas yung data natin kapag in-apply natin yung dalawang yon, or yung isa ay bumaba. Okay? So the first variable increases, the second variable decreases. So kung ganun yung connection nila or relationship nila, kahit wala silang connection sa isa't isa, we still can get the value. Okay? Ito yung pagkakaiba in terms of the other tests na gagamitin natin. Okay? Pwede rin namang kuhain muna natin if there is such connection talaga bago natin hanapin yung what type of correlation happened to them. Okay, later, we still have how many time para kaya pa, no? Marami pang oras para ma-discuss in terms of how we're going to interpret the data. Okay, this one is Pearson R correlation. We're just getting the relationship or correlation between a pair of variable na meron tayo. Okay, any question? Ay, sorry. Akala ko nasa klase ako. Okay, proceed tayo sa next one. Okay, the next question, di ba, aside from the treatment, no, we already done those treatments from parametric and non-parametric side. Later tayo kay non-parametric. We're going to answer this question, how to perform inferential quantitative analysis. So to do this, simply ano yung mga kailangan nating malaman? First one, how to use an SPSS. Okay? Ito ay malaking tulong, no? SPSS, baka naman, de joke lang. So, aside from that, we need to know about p-values. Okay? So, how are we going to interpret a p-values? And next one, we need to know about alternative and null hypotheses. And last one is, we need to know about different types of correlation. So, by knowing those things, we can easily, yes, the word, easily interpret the given data that we have. Okay? Based on dun sa mga treatment na binigay natin. Okay, so let us start. Let me ask you a question, no? How can you prove a given statement is true? Okay, ano ba yung isang bagay na a given statement, paano mo siya masasabi na siya ay totoo? Let me give you an example of the given statement. Alamin natin. What if the statement is this one? Okay, how are you going to prove na mahal ka talaga niya? Okay, this one is the hardest one na ma-prove, no? Kung paano natin masasabi na mahal ka na talaga ng isang tao. Okay, so paano nga ba natin mapuprove yan? Simply, in a given inferential statistic way, okay, paano natin mapuprove yan? Kailangan nating i-prove na hindi kanya mahal. Instead of proving it na mahal kanya, ipoprove natin siya ng hindi kanya mahal. Bakit? Kasi the more na pinoprove natin is yung effort niya na binibigay na nagpapatunay na mahal ka niya, paano kapag natigil yon? Paano pagdating sa future hindi niya na ginawa? Masasabi mo ba na mahal ka pa rin niya? Sakit, no? so ngayon, in inferential statistic way, we are going to deal with the negative one. Okay? Kaya kasi natin magbigay ng idea or factors para masabing hindi ka niya mahal. Bawa, hindi ka binigyan ng chicken skin nung kumakain kayo. 'Di ba? Halimbawa, hindi kayo natin sa bahay nyo. Okay, hindi ka tinawagan gabi-gabi. Tinulugan ka. So those are some examples na pwede nating ibigay, no? Para masabing hindi ka niya mahal. Okay, so mas madaling mag-prove ng isang bagay in terms na gagawin natin siyang mali. Okay? So yun po. So let us connect this, no, on statistics. Okay, yung hindi kita mahal, that is what we call null hypothesis. Ang tawag natin doon ay null hypothesis. And yung pinoprove natin kung mahal ka talaga niya, ang tawag natin doon ay alternative hypothesis. And this one is chances, no? Hindi ibig sabihin na hindi ka binigyan ng chicken skin nung kumakain kayo, hindi ka na agad niya mahal. There is always certain chances. 'Di ba? Sina Popoy, anong pangalan nun? Si Popoy sa Basha, 'di ba? Ilang chances yung binigay? First chance, second chance. Pero pagdating kay inferential, ilang beses or ilang chances yung binibigay? Let us see. For example, patutunayan natin, ang pinaka-goal natin dito is to prove na hindi ka niya mahal. Okay, yun yung chances. What would be the chance na hindi ka talaga niya mahal? Okay, first factor, okay, na napansin mo, hindi ka binibigyan ng time. Okay, hindi ka binibigyan ng time. So, possible ba na masabi mo na mahal ka pa rin niya kahit hindi ka binibigyan ng time? Possible. Baka binubuo niya lang yung future nyo. O, sana all. Okay, no? So, there is just 1% chance na hindi ka niya mahal. Mas malaki pa rin yung chance na mahal ka niya. Ilang percent? 99% pa. Okay. Eh ngayon, nung kumain kayo, hindi ka binigyan ng chicken skin. May galit talaga ako sa hindi nagbibigay ng chicken skin. Okay. So, ngayon, nadagdagan siya. Naging 2%. Okay, 2% yung chance na hindi ka niya mahal. So, we still have 98%, no? So, pwede pa rin natin na-accept. Sige, palag, mahal pa ako niyan. Baka gutom lang talaga siya. Okay? Okay, aside from that, ngayon, hindi ka hinatid pa uwi. Okay? Hindi ka hinatid pa uwi. Tumaas yung chance na hindi ka niya mahal. 3%. Ilang percent na lang? 97% na lang para masabing mahal ka niya. Okay? Pero dito, syempre baka naman may emergency kaya hindi ka nahatid. Sige, pagbigyan. Mahal pa ako niyan. No? So, sobrang magmahal, no? Kahit anong nangyari, no? Okay, the next one is, ano pa ba? Ano pa ba yung mga reasons para masabing hindi ka niya mahal? Nagchat-chat ng ibang babae. Ayan, nako. Sasabi ko sa inyo talaga. So, ay, sorry. Sinasabihan ako ditong judgmental ng mga kasama ko. Okay, so ngayon, what happened? 4% na yung chance na hindi ka niya namahal. Kasi naghanap na siya ng ibang atensyon eh. Sana walang nasasaktan ngayon, no? Habang nagdi-discuss tayo ngayon. So, 4% na, pero still, accept pa rin natin. Baka naman gusto niya lang maglibang. Oh, sobrang, ano, no? Gusto niya lang talaga maglibang. Okay. The next one, bigay pa tayo ng isang example, no? Isa pang dahilan para masabing hindi ka niya mahal. Hindi ka niloadan nung isang araw. Okay, kailangan na kailangan mo yung load pero hindi ka binigyan ng pan-load. O for example, no? So 5% na yung chance pero syempre, accept mo pa rin. Napakasimpleng bagay lang nun. Kaya ko na magpa-load next time. Next time ako na lang magpapa-load sa sarili ko. Okay, so yun, no? So we still prove na kaya pa rin. Okay, but then paano kapag lumagpas ng 5%? What will happen? Okay, then na yung papasok na aside from may kausap na iba, is kinakausap niya na, kapuyatan niya na, no? Ka-ML niya na. Okay, so kapag ganyan, 6%, X na yan. Kapag, mas marami pa yung time niya dun sa isa kaysa sa'yo. Kapag ganyan, pwede na nating i-accept. Okay? Hindi mo na kailangan ng kalahati, hindi mo na kailangan umabot ng 50% bago mo i-accept na hindi kanya na mahal. 5% lang ang kaya mong ibigay sa kanya. Kapag lumagpas doon, accept mo na. Hindi ka talaga niya mahal. Okay? Nag-cheat pa lalo. Nagkaroon pa kayo ng pagtatalo pero hindi ka na pinansin talaga. Okay? Wala nang pakialam sa'yo totally. So, naging 98% yung chance na hindi ka mahal. This time, totally, accept mo na dapat yan. Na hindi ka na niya talaga mahal. So, that is how statistic works, no? In terms of love. Bakit? Kasi February na. Baka naman, joke lang. Okay, proceed tayo. So, let us now proceed on how it is connected in terms of statistics or inferential statistics. That 5% that I'm telling you is what we call the p-value. Okay, yan yung standard p-value natin. Okay? So, ang goal natin in every researches, specifically in inferential, when to reject the null hypothesis. So, yun yung titignan natin. Kailan natin pwedeng i-reject yung null hypothesis? And it is just 5% chance. Okay? So, on this part, if it is greater than 5% or greater than 0.05, ibig sabihin nun, kailangan mo nang i-accept na hindi ka niya mahal. Or on this part, kailangan mo nang i-accept ang null hypothesis. Okay? Ang pipiliin mo ngayon dun sa dalawa, alternative or null, ang pipiliin mo will be yung null hypothesis. Okay? Now, in a statistical way, we are dealing with failed to reject the given null hypothesis. Ito yung nakikita nyo doon. Okay? Ito yung term na ginagamit natin for statistical way. Hindi nyo pwedeng ilagay doon yung mahal ka niya, hindi ka niya mahal. Hindi nyo yung ilalagay nyo. Ang ilalagay nyo will be failed to reject the null hypothesis. Okay? How about kapag less than or equal to 0.05? So dito, you can now, you still have to reject the null hypothesis kasi less than pa siya ng 5%. So this time, you're going to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay? So that is how are we going to interpret a given p-value na meron tayo. And usually, ito yung ginagamit nating standard on how we are going to interpret the given data. Let us proceed, no? Let us now try to analyze a given data in terms of comparison by getting significant difference. Okay, so ano yung mga kailangan natin doon? Of course, the p-value. Okay, in getting the p-value, sabi natin, sa null hypothesis natin, if it is less than 0.05, and sabi ko rin kanina, kapag magpo-prove tayo, instead of proving it na tama, ipo-prove natin siya na mali. On this part, instead of proving it na significant difference or there is a significant difference, ipo-prove natin siya ng mali. So, we're going to consider the null hypothesis as there is no statistical difference at all. So, yun yung ilalagay natin for null hypothesis. Okay? And for the alternative hypothesis, of course, with difference, with statistical significant difference. Okay? So, ito yung basis natin. Kapag no difference, greater than dapat siya ng 0.05 ang p-value. And kapag with difference, less than or equal dapat siya ng 0.05. And before we proceed on getting this, okay, or before we proceed on finding the treatment or on dealing with the data, kailangan may dalawa muna tayong gawin. Okay? dalawang criteria bago tayo mag-proceed on the specific treatment na gagawin natin. First one, we need to test the normality of the given data. And next one is we need to test the homogeneity of the given data. So what are those two? First, let us have the test of normality. So kapag sinabi natin in terms of test of normality, we need to find out if it is normally distributed ang given sample. So paano natin madidistinguish if it is normally distributed? So in testing the normality, ano ba talaga yung ginagawa natin dito? Simply, we are just comparing the normal distribution ng given population na meron tayo to the given sample na kinuha nyo. Remember, hindi tayo kumuha ng buong sample, ng buong population. Kumuha lang tayo ng part of the given population. And we are going to find out, equal pa rin ba silang dalawa? Kahit na kumuha lang tayo ng sample, still normally distributed pa rin ba siya? Okay, so yun yung titignan natin. And to find that, again, we're going to use the p-value. Okay, so this time, kapag less than 0.05, greater than 0.05, there is no difference between sample and population. And kapag naman less than or less than or equal to 0.05, it means that there is a significant difference between sample and population normal distribution. So ano yung gagawin natin dito? To find out if there is a normal distribution, kailangan siyempre, there is no difference between them. So ibig sabihin, to say it is normally distributed, ang p-value dapat natin will be greater than 0.05. Okay? And masasabi natin it is non-normal distributed if it is less than or equal to 0.05. And there is a specific test or treatment ang ginagamit natin for test of normality. Wala dun sa mga nabanggit ko, this one is part of the statistician na. Siya nang bahalang magbigay to find out if it is normally distributed or not before to proceed on the given treatment. Okay? That is for the test of normality. Now, let us proceed with the test of homogeneity. Kanina sa normality, bakit kailangan normally distributed siya? Simply, we need to find out if the scores that we gave or that we have na nakuha is tumatama on a given mean. Ibig sabihin, almost nagkakasundo sila lahat na ganun yung result. Okay? Kapag ganun, ibig sabihin, maganda yung data na nakuha natin. And in terms of test of homogeneity, we are dealing with those groups. Sabi natin, we are comparing different groups. Kapag sinabi nating t-test independent, t-test dependent, right? So on this part, we are going to compare those two groups na tinitingnan natin. Okay? Before we proceed on the treatment. And kailangan homogeneous sila in nature. Kailangan wala silang masyadong pagkakaiba aside doon sa define mo na pagkakaiba. What does it mean? For example, male and female. Okay? So define natin siya in terms of male and female, pero we can consider them homogeneous. Ibig sabihin, dapat walang other aspect na magkaiba sila. Only for the gender, male and female. Yun yung titingnan natin for the test of homogeneity. And again, anong gagamitin natin dito? We are going to use the p-value. And if it is greater than 0.05, there is no difference. Less than or equal to 0.05, there is a difference. And since ang kailangan natin equal silang dalawa, there should be no difference at all. So therefore, to consider it is homogeneous ang data natin, kailangan greater than 0.05. And kapag less than or equal to 0.05 ang p-value natin, yung test in terms of homogeneity natin, heterogeneous ang data na meron tayo. Kalat-kalat yung data na meron tayo. Okay? Or kalat-kalat yung different group or hindi talaga sila related sa isa't isa. Or there are lots of differences between them, no? Kapag ang kinuha natin will be less than or equal to 0.05. Kapag ang result natin is less than or equal to 0.05. Okay, let us sum up things, no? Ano yung mga gagamitin nating treatment based on the test of normality and test of homogeneity? First, we need to look for the test of normality. Sabi natin, alamin natin if it is normally distributed or non-normal distribution ang meron tayo. Kapag greater than 5 ang p-value, it is normal. Kapag less than or equal to 5, non-normal ang distribution natin. Okay? And kapag non-normal, magpo-proceed agad tayo dun sa mga non-parametric test na meron tayo dun sa ating summary na binigay. Okay? And for the normal, kapag normal ang distribution natin, proceed tayo agad kay test of homogeneity. Okay? Sa test of homogeneity, hinahanap natin if it is homogeneous or heterogeneous. Kapag homogeneous ang data natin, ang p-value is greater than 5. Kapag heterogeneous, less than or equal to 5. So ngayon, kapag homogeneous ang data natin, pwede na natin gamitin yung mga parametric test na meron tayo, na diniscuss ko kanina. Pero kapag hindi siya homogeneous ang data natin, we have this one option by means of using Brown-Forsyth. Okay? So ito yung pwede nating magamit for heterogeneous. And again, in terms of computing those parametric test, non-parametric, and the Brown-Forsyth, hindi na natin muna siya i-discuss for this part, no? That is part of the SPSS na. Saka na natin siya i-discuss if there will be enough, if there is a chance na makapag-discuss ulit tayo dito. Okay? So now, in terms of, idea na meron tayo, sabi ko kanina, if the test of normality and homogeneity did not satisfy, if hindi natin na-satisfy yun, pwede natin gamitin yung mga non-parametric tests. Okay? In terms of normality, no? So instead of using one sample t-test, we can use the Wilkinson signed rank test. Okay? Instead of using t-test dependent sample, pwede rin natin gamitin si Wilkinson. Okay? And instead of using t-test, independent sample, kapag hindi normal ang data, gamitan natin ng Mann-Whitney. Okay? And kapag naman analysis of variance at hindi normal ang data, gamitan natin ng Kruskal-Wallis. Okay? So that is our our way or tips sa pagkuha ng given treatment. Okay. So proceed tayo. Let us have this a given example, no? Researcher aims to determine the comparison of academic performance of STEM students in mathematics and science subject. So dito, we need to identify what should be the correct research question we have here. Okay? Since we need to find out the comparison of the academic performance ng STEM students and science in terms of mathematics and science subject, of course, we need to get this question, no? Is there a significant difference between the performance of the STEM students in mathematics and science subject? So, i-compare natin yung dalawa. Now, what will be our treatment to be used in terms of the research objective and the research question? So, here, we are going to compare. Since score ang pagmumulan niya, it could be grades or it could be the score of the exam or the final exam, it means that it is parametric ang test natin. And of course, ilan yung pinaka-group na meron tayo dito? Okay, we have one group which is STEM students, okay, containing two things na ide-describe natin sa kanya. Two variables na kinukuha natin doon sa isang group, which is the STEM group, no? So by that, we are dealing with two samples pa rin, pero dependent sample. So ano na yung mismong statistical treatment na pwede nating gamitin? So in this part, we can use t-test dependent sample. Kasi kanino ba nanggaling yung data? Sa kanya lang. Okay, sa iisang group lang, which is the STEM students. Okay? And by that, we can have now the hypothesis, no? So there is no significant difference between math and science. Sabi natin, kailangan laging negative ang null hypothesis. And there is significant difference between math and science scores. Okay, that would be our hypothesis on this part, no? And let us assume, for example, for this analyzation, the result of the p-value contains 0.023. Now we are going to find out if we are going to reject the null hypothesis or we're just going to fail to reject the given null hypothesis. In other words, we're going to accept the null hypothesis. So ano yung boundary natin? Less than or equal to 0.05. Okay, yung 0.05 to accept the alternative hypothesis. And since si 0.023 is less than or equal to 0.05, if it is less than, we are going to reject the null hypothesis. It means that there is significant difference between math and science scores. Okay, so kung ano yung nakuha, what would be the implication of this? Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung nakuha nating values from the scores ng math and science, nagmamatter yung subject sa STEM. Ibig sabihin, baka nga, si STEM, mas magaling siya sa science kung mas mataas yung scores niya doon. Or mas magaling siya sa math kung mas mataas yung score niya sa math. Okay, by that, we use the t-test dependent sample to interpret the data. Okay, so that is the first one. Okay, let us have the next example. Suppose that the researcher aims to determine if the average height of Filipino male in Imus reach the standard average height of Filipino male, which is 160 centimeter. So, how are we going to deal with this? So, ang ating magiging research question, possible research question will be, is there a significant difference between the average height of Filipino male in Imus and standard average height of the Filipino male in the Philippines? We are going to compare the standard height in the Philippines and yung naging standard height ng Imus. Okay, we are going to compare the two. So, what will be our statistical treatment applied on this? First, since we are going to compare, the next one, height ang pinag-uusapan, it is parametric data. So ngayon, tingnan natin how many samples do we have. So on this part, we are just going to get one sample. Ako, kukuhaan nila ng height. The other person, kukuhaan nila ng height. They are going to get the average. Kanino nila i-compare? Sa standard. And kapag sa standard nila kino-compare, sa standard value, there is an expected value to be compared, we are going to use one sample t-test. Okay? And let us now formulate the given hypothesis. So, the null hypothesis will be there is no significant difference between the average height and the expected value. And the alternative hypothesis will be there is significant difference. Paulit-ulit lang talaga yung pinaka-process niya, no? And let us assume, for example, that the p-value is 0.086. So, what will be its interpretation? The first one, since it is greater than 0.05, we failed to reject the given null hypothesis. Ibig sabihin, there is no significant difference between the average height of Filipino male in Imus and expected value. Walang pagbabago. And by that, what would be the implication? It means that nasa standard height pa rin ang Imus. Hindi pa rin sila ibig sabihin, almost nasa 163 centimeter pa rin ang most of the Imus resident. Okay, Filipino Imus resident natin. Okay? So that would be the implication of the given interpretation. Tatandaan, hindi natatapos sa interpretation ng data natin. We need to create conclusion based on the given interpretations that we have. Okay, that is the research. Ang pinakadulo natin, conclusion dapat. So, you need to analyze things about dun sa data na nakuha nyo. Okay. Next, research aims to determine the comparison between the math anxiety level of students with growth and fixed mindset. So, we are going to determine the comparison between the growth mindset, growth and fixed mindset in terms of the math anxiety level. So, what would be our research question? Is there a significant difference between the math anxiety level of the student with growth mindset and the student with fixed mindset? So what will be our statistical treatment to be used? It is comparing, and since growth mindset and fixed mindset, there is some scaled test na pwedeng gamitin dito. Na kung saan scores ang makukuha natin to determine if it has a given growth mindset or fixed mindset. By that, we can say it is parametric pa din. Okay? And aside from that, how many samples do we have? So on this part, yung isang grupo natin, hinati natin sa dalawa. The first one, yung merong fixed mindset, and the other group is yung merong growth mindset. And we are going to compare their math anxiety level. So by that, we are going to use t-test independent sample. So let us now proceed with formulating hypotheses. So for the null hypothesis, there is no significant difference of the math anxiety between the given growth mindset people and the fixed mindset people. And also, in terms of alternative hypothesis, there is a significant difference naman. Okay, so let us assume that the result is 0.035. So what will be our interpretation from this? So it is less than or equal to 0.05. So therefore, we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So we can say that there is significant difference between the math anxiety level of students with growth mindset and fixed mindset. So what will be our implication? So it means that our mindset, either growth mindset or fixed mindset, really affects our math anxiety. So nakakapagbigay siya ng math anxiety it really have a, in terms of the data that we have, we try to find out if there is an effect, yung mismong mindset natin, dun sa nagiging math anxiety level natin. So we can say that kapag growth mindset ka, mas mababa yung math anxiety level mo, compare kapag ikaw ay fixed mindset, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is just assumed data lang tayo for us to have a computation. Okay? So let us have the next one, association in terms, let us now try to analyze relationships. Okay, so how are we going to deal with this? The first one, of course, we are going to use the p-value. This time, instead of looking for the no difference and with difference, we are going to deal with no relationship and with relationship. Yung dalawang variable na tinitignan natin, may relasyon ba sila or wala? There is a connection or there is no connection at all. So, syempre, kapag greater than 0.05, no relationship. Kapag less than or equal to 0.05, with relationship. Okay? So, how are we going to determine what type of correlation or what type of relations do they have? So, we have three, negative correlation, no correlation at all, and positive correlation. So, what would be the difference between them? So, kapag negative correlation, it can be considered to be weak, moderate, or strong negative correlation. How about in positive? We can consider it to be weak, moderate, and strong positive correlation. And there is a scale between them, So, we can say that kapag ang nakuha mong R values, kasi pagdating kay Pearson R, ang ginagamit natin will be the R value. Kapag in between siya ng negative 0.1 and 0.1, there is no correlation at all. Okay? Kapag naman in between ng 0.1 and 1, positive 1, of course, there is a positive correlation. Depends if it is weak, moderate, and strong. Kapag weak ang correlation, ibig sabihin hindi gaanong mataas yung connection nila sa isa't isa. Okay? Kumbaga ikaw, sumakay ka sa jeep, okay, ang connection nyo mababa in terms of dun sa driver saka ikaw. Kasi hindi naman kayo totally magkakilala. Sumakay ka lang sa jeep niya. Okay? So just like that, weak lang yung connection yung dalawa. And kapag strong, dito na yung papasok, for example, connection mo between parents. Okay? Mas mataas yung connection kumpara dun sa driver. Okay? That's just representation lang on how to give the idea of weak correlation and strong correlation. Okay? And in terms of negative naman, in terms of negative naman, kapag umabot tayo ng negative 0.1 and negative 1, in between of them, negative correlation ang meron tayo. So, what does it mean in terms of positive correlation? So, kapag positive correlation, ibig sabihin, yung isang variable, kapag tumaas yung isang variable, tumataas din yung pangalawang variable. Same goes kapag bumaba yung yung unang variable, bumababa din yung pangalawang variable natin. There is a direct relationship between them. Okay, that is positive correlation. Kapag negative naman, there is an alternate, inverse relationship. So kapag tumaas yung unang variable natin, yung pangalawang variable bababa or naapektuhan siya pababa. Okay? Kapag naman mababa yung unang variable natin, tataas naman yung pangalawang variable. So by that, there is a negative relationship between them or negative correlation between them. Ibig sabihin, kung titignan natin siya in a given data, yung relationship nila, it could be mean na negative ang relationship na meron sila. Ibig sabihin, naapektuhan siya pababa. Okay, there is chance. Okay, there is a chance na naapektuhan siya pababa. And there is a chance na naapektuhan din siya pataas kapag naman positive ang correlation. And kapag no correlation at all, it means that overall, wala talaga silang connection sa isa't isa. There is no relationship at all. That is in between of negative 0.1 and 0.1. Okay. So that is how are we going to deal with analyzing relationships between variables. So let us try po, no? The research aims to determine the relationship between emotional quotient and social quotient. So dito, tinitingnan natin, paano ba kapag tumaas yung emotional quotient natin? Ano ang nangyayari sa social quotient na meron tayo? So tinitingnan natin yung relationship nilang dalawa. Okay, if there is any, no? We have two questions lagi pagdating kay association or relationship kapag pinag-uusapan yung relationship. First one, is there a linear relationship between emotional quotient and social quotient? Again, dito nga pala, di-discuss lang muna natin is linear relationship muna. O, yung pinakamadaling method natin. Okay? And the other one, what type of relationship between emotional quotient and social quotient we have? Okay? So, anong gagamitin natin dito? First one, we are trying to associate the data. So, therefore, we are going to use either Pearson R, chi-square, or Spearman-Rho. And since we are dealing with emotional quotient and social quotient, there is specific scores for that, no? So therefore, it is a parametric study, or parametric data rather. So therefore, we are going to use Pearson R correlation. Okay? So in using the Pearson R correlation, let us have now our hypothesis. Yung mabibigyan lang natin ng hypothesis will be yung ating question number 1. Knowing if there is a linear relationship between those two variables. So what will be our null and alternative hypothesis? So yung null natin, there is no significant relationship instead of difference. This time, there is no significant relationship between emotional quotient and social quotient. Okay, and the alternative naman will be there is significant relationship. So let us assume that we have these values. The p-value is 0.035 and the r or the correlation value is 0.57. What does it conclude? First one, since it is less than 0.05 ang data natin, we need to reject the given null hypothesis. So we can say that there is significant relationship. Okay, may connection yung emotional quotient and social quotient. Okay? The next one is, let us now try to analyze the given R value. Okay, since it is in between of 0.1 and 1, therefore it is a positive correlation. So si 0.57, hindi siya negative. And aside from that, it is in between of 0.5 and 0.8, which is in terms of moderate. So therefore, we can say that this one is moderate positive correlation. Okay? So somehow, there is a connection between emotional quotient and social quotient. Okay? That is how are we going to interpret a given relationship between data. Okay. So let us now try to summarize things, no? So we try to find out the given treatment by means of answering what are you going to do with the data, what type of data do you have, and how many samples do you have. And also, we try to find out the interpretation of the given p-value and the interpretation of the given correlation. Usually, we are trying to find or use the given p-value in everything, no? Somehow, lagi natin siyang ginagamit. Okay, so that would be the summary of all the discussions we have today, no? And before to end my discussion, let me give you some important idea na kailangan alam natin as a researcher. Kasi ito yung madalas nilang nakakalimutan or dito sila nagkakamali, kaya nauulit yung paper nila. So what are those? The first one is, the bivariate Pearson correlation only reveals association. Yung mga correlational treatment natin, it just serve association of data. It doesn't mean that there is a causation between data. So what does it mean? Kapag gumamit tayo ng correlation, hindi ibig sabihin yung isang variable naaapektuhan niya yung pangalawang variable. We are just getting the relationship between them. There is just a relationship pero hindi ibig sabihin naaapektuhan ka niya. Just like on my example no about sa for example ako and yung driver. Okay? There is a connection between them kapag sumakay ako sa jeep niya. But then, kung hindi ako sasakay sa jeep niya, what will happen is, there is no connection at all, no? But then, we can say na hindi ako naapektuhan sa kanya. Okay? Hindi ako naapektuhan doon sa pagsakay ko doon sa jeep niya. Okay? So, therefore, there is a connection between us doon, pero hindi niya ako naapektuhan at all. So kapag gumamit tayo ng correlation study, tatandaan, hindi causation ang hinahanap natin. Yung mga study about effects, the effects of this and that, huwag niyong gagamitan ng correlational study. Parang awa niyo na. Okay? Kasi kayo rin ang, alam niyo na, mahirapan sa dulo. So, saan ba gagamitin si causation? Paano, sir, kapag ganun yung study natin? Okay, ulitin niyo na lang ulit. Joke lang. So, anong gagawin natin? Simply, ang gagamitin nating treatment will be comparative statistical analysis. Ano yung mga comparative? Yung mga diniscuss natin. T-test dependent, T-test independent, one sample T-test, and kailangan, para mas mataas yung causation effect, kailangan laging may control variable. Okay? Experimental tayo pagdating dito. Okay? Remember that. Causation, comparative analysis tayo. Kapag naman association lang, correlation study tayo. Okay? Now, the greater the sample, the greater the chance that sample contains normal distribution. Para makasigurado tayo na mas mataas yung kung normally distributed ba yung sample natin, kailangan mas mataas din yung ating number ng sample natin. Kasi kapag konti lang yung kinuha nating sample from the given population, particularly, for example, million yung population mo, kumuha ka lang ng 10, hindi mo kayang makuha if it is normally distributed. Lalabas doon, baka hindi siya normally distributed. So, mas marami yung sample na kukuhain mo on a given population, mas tumataas yung yung chance na normally distributed siya. Okay? Doon sa mismong data. Kasi kapag hindi, maraming ka pang kailangan gawin kapag hindi siya normally distributed. Kaya umpisa pa lang, bago kang mag-gather ng data, kailangan mas marami or enough na yung number ng respondents na meron ka. Next. The goal of inferential statistics is to discover some properties or general pattern about large group by studying a small group. Remember, ang tinitingnan lagi natin dito will be the sample. Okay, sample, kinoconnect natin siya from the given population. Kung ano yun natin nakuha sa sample, ina-assume natin na ganoon din pagdating sa population. That is inferential statistics. Okay. Next. Ito rin, isa rin sa mga nagiging problem. The before-after design in one group does not include a control group. Ito yung sinasabi ko. There should always be a control group kapag nagko-compare tayo, no? On this part, for example, nag-take ako ng exam, kinuha ko yung post-test and pre-test scores ko. So, ngayon, titingnan ko kung mayroong difference sa akin, dun sa pinaka-data natin, no? There will be biases. Kasi wala tayong control group. Hindi ibig sabihin na naapektuhan ako ng intervention or hindi. Okay? Kaya be careful on using before and after design. Yung mga design na kung saan merong post-test and pre-test or trial 1 and trial 2, those are some of the ideas na somehow nagiging bias tayo kapag kumukuha tayo ng data. So be careful on using those things. Okay? Nagiging dehado tayo pagdating sa defense. Okay, so that would be all about the discussion in terms of inferential statistics, no? And now that you know things about the treatment and you know things about how to interpret the given treatment that we have or the given result, you can now do your research. And if you fail, remember that if at first you don't succeed, try two more times so that your failure is statistically significant. Ulit-ulitin lang natin hanggang sa maging statistically significant yung magiging failure nyo. So that would be all. Thank you po.
Okay, let us now move forward for our first question that is from Mr. Vince Chamorro. How do we solve for ANOVA? This is the first question, Sir Jerome. How do we solve for ANOVA?
Mic test? Naririnig? Okay. So, on solving ANOVA, no, that is, we can use different application, just like what I have said, no. We can use the SPSS, and we can also use Excel for solving that one, no. And as well as there is some formulas naman regarding that. And hindi siya muna tinakil natin, that is because more on we are dealing with treatments muna, on how to choose a given treatments and how to interpret those. But then if there will be some chance na baka makuha na, or we can try to have a detailed about that one, no, on how to find how to solve a given ANOVA. But at least we know how to interpret it. Mas better na yan. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you for that one, Sir Jerome. Let us now move forward to our second question. I think this one is very interesting question. The question is, our studies and action research entitled Effectiveness of Stress Management Program to the Teachers of UCC. Is it correct to use measurement of central tendency mean in order to determine the stress level of the respondents before and after the implementation of the program, and to use an independent t-test to determine if there is a significant difference between the two mean scores of the stress levels of respondents? If that is wrong, what should we use instead?
Okay, no? So, in terms of that, the first thing, no, so ang dami palang tanong nun. So, the first one is about the given mean, kapag gagamitin natin is the mean. Yes, of course, it depends pa rin naman. It depends on the given instrument that you have. Now, be careful with the instrument sometimes, sabi nga ni Sir Gab while ago, in terms of having the scale instrument, no, yung strongly agree, and disagree. So, it can be fall under ordinal data. So, therefore, we can use median instead of using the instead of using the mean rather. But then if your data gives us a given score of the stress level, you can use the mean na agad-agad. So, that would be the best central tendency that we can use. And by that, since it is in a form of parametric, no, sabi natin, and you are going to compare, since we are dealing with the effects, sabi natin, causation to, ito yung tinutukoy natin na causation, no? So, we can say that we can use the independent t-test on this, no? Be careful lang sa paggamit ng independent t-test since we are dealing with teachers, no? All of the teachers here in UCC, or some of the teachers here in UCC, you need to split them into two. Okay, that would be the hardest one, no? In terms of independent t-test. Kailangan mo silang split into two. The other one have the controlled group and the other one has a experimental group. Yung control group is hindi natin siya bibigyan ng intervention o hindi natin siya bibigyan nung pinaka-program na pinopropose nyo. And the other one, the other group, is mag-undergo ng ganong program. And if there will be some changes between them, therefore, there will be some result or idea na possible na talagang effective yung paggamit if there is difference. Pero kapag walang difference sila, possible na hindi talaga siya naapektuhan at all or hindi effective yung mismong ating approach or yung program mismo. So tama naman po na independent t-test yung gagamitin natin. So wala naman akong naliban sa mga questions. If it is wrong, there's nothing wrong with what you said. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jerome, for raising that clarification. Let us move forward to our third question. This is from student of De La Salle, Ashanti Naomi. When should we use t-test, and can you give a sample study that used t-test?
Okay, there's a lot, no? Maraming pwedeng paggamitan si t-test, and usually sabi ko kanina, kapag t-test ang pinag-usapan natin, lahat ng diniscuss ko kanina, t-test independent, t-test dependent, one sample t-test, those are parts of the inferential statistics under comparison. So if you are comparing the data, if there is a significant difference between them, we are using that one, no? Yung t-test na tinatawag natin, overall, those t-tests na meron tayo. And be careful lang din, again, no, there will be some cases. Kapag one sample lang, kapag two groups ang kailangan mo, pero independent, pero two groups ka, pero dependent sample, or three or more groups, kailangan specific tayo doon. No? Hindi laging ginagamit si t-test. Usually, kapag sumobra ng dalawa, yun yung pinaka-clue natin doon. Kapag sumobra ng dalawa, yung group na kino-compare natin, automatically, we are going to use ANOVA. Okay, so hindi na tayo magtitites on that part. Okay, in terms of the study, yung kaninang example na binigay ni the first question that we have, that is one of the example for the t-test. And aside from that, just a simple, for example, if you're going to compare the height and the weight of the given person, that is also forming t-test then. We can use t-test for that. The scores of two different person, such as kanina, different strand, for example, TVL, ABM, STEM, performing arts, wag magagalit ako kung hindi mabanggit. Okay? So, UMS, no? And the others as well. No, kapag kinuha natin yung scores nila in a specific subject, for example, general mathematics, and we compare them, no? So, kapag sobrang dami na ANOVA, pero kapag dalawa lang doon yung hinihingi natin, for example, UMS and TVL lang muna, so we can use t-test. Okay, particularly independent t-test. Ayan po. Thank you.
We have more questions to go, Sir Jerome. Let's proceed to the next one. From Miss Michelle Aguilar. When it comes to getting number of samples, do we have a standard number of respondents?
Okay, so in terms of having the standard, no? So, kapag standard na pinag-usapan kasi natin, there is no, depends on the given populations, no? There is a formula that we can use, no, yung Cochrane formula natin, but then somehow, no, we can just have the least, okay, number of respondents that we could get. Pero kagaya nga ng sinabi ko, kung kaya or possible na mas damihan pa natin, okay, mas damihan pa natin yung respondents natin para mas maging normally distributed yung data natin, gawin natin kung kaya pa nating kumuha ng data. Especially kapag sobrang taas ng population. Nakadepende lagi kasi siya sa dami ng population eh. If thousands lang naman yung populations natin, it's, kung sinabi ni Cochrane na nasa 200 lang, kahit gawin mo siyang 300, para mas sigurado ka. Yung binibigay lang ng formula natin, no, yung pinaka-least possible or wala nang bababa dapat doon na number of respondents, or else baka magkaroon tayo ng problema in terms of normal distribution. But then, pwede naman ang mangyari, no, you can check the normal, if it is normally distributed enough, and kung hindi pa, pwede nyo nang gawin is dagdagan palalo yung respondents, or dagdagan mo palalo yung respondents, if ever. So, yun po.
Yes, we have more questions. Okay, let's move forward. Thank you, Sir Jerome. Another one is from Kirsten Jersey de la Cruz. Our variables are the two study times, day and night, and the students' examination scores. We are wondering if it's okay to use ANOVA while also using Sperman. And if there's a more fitting method for our paper, what should it be?
Okay, no? Medyo ano yun, wait lang. Sabi natin, you're going to test if nakaka-apekto yung day and night, if I'm not mistaken, no? Kasi hindi ko siya makakausap right now kasi this one should have a given conversation para mas maintindihan natin yung study. Again, it will be, depends on how you interpret the given research. Ngayon kasi hindi siya nabigyan or hindi mo sa akin binigay kung ano yung nasa problems mo. Si statement of the problems. Kasi doon tayo dumedepende. Kanina mapapansin nyo is I'm going to give the aim or the research objective. Then afterwards, I'm going to give the question behind that research objectives. Saka ako nag-proceed with the treatment. Kasi that would be the process. Kailangan nakadepende tayo, ano ba yung kinukuha mo sa data. Pero kung ang tinitignan natin, if I'm going to look on what you have said, no, nagagamit ka ng significant difference, kukuhain mo din yung correlation nila, medyo marami na yung focus ng research mo. But then it is possible naman. So medyo marami-rami lang yung mga kailangan mo na kuhain, marami-raming interpretation ng kailangan, and marami-rami ding conclusion. Though justifiable naman yung dami nun kasi you are going to compare, if I'm not mistaken, based on what she said po, no, na kung saan the given day and night, i-compare natin yung test scores nila, and kung nakaka-apekto rin ba yung time span, kung pagpataas ba ng pataas yung time natin, no? We can have that one, no? Still, it depends on the given problems. You need to check again your problems, okay? And if your problems requires relationship, you need to use correlational. And if your problems requires comparison between the day and night, so you need to use the other one, aside from correlation, which is in terms of comparison naman. Yan po. Thank you.
All right, next one is from Verhel Rotoni. What is the preferred formula in getting the relationship between the two variables?
Formula, ito yung misinformation ng mga bata in terms of research. Usually, lagi ito ang hinihingi nila. Sir, ano po ba yung formula na dapat nilalagay natin sa research? And if I'm the one to ask that, as a researcher as well, I am not about to put the formula itself. What do I put on the given research is saan siya gagamitin, yung pinaka-treatment na yon, bakit yun yung pinili nyo, ano yung connection niya sa research. You're just going to explain those things. That's why hindi talaga siya kailangan formulated or hindi natin kailangan ilagay siya kasi hindi na talaga siya necessarily at all, no? Because we have a lots of applications that we use in terms of finding those different treatments or in terms of using those different treatments, there is applications na wag na natin masyadong pahirapan yung sarili natin on that part. Okay, we are not taking any more statistics at all. If we are taking any statistics subjects, it is better na kailangan talaga natin to identify those formulas. But then, if we are dealing with researches, ang pinaka-importante doon is alam mo kung saan mo gagamitin yung treatment and alam mo kung paano mo siya i-interpret. That's all po.
Thank you, Sir Jerome. And last question for this session from Justin Gomez. Can a study be both descriptive and inferential? Is it possible to use both descriptive and inferential statistics in the study?
Okay, so kagaya ng sinabi ni Sir Gab, nung umaga, hindi nawawala ang descriptive kay inferential. Kagaya ng example ko ng pinakaumpisa is mag-i-start ka lagi talaga sa descriptive kasi siya yung nagbibigay ng data mo eh. For example, if you're going to correlate, kung ang tinitignan mo lang is more on inferential and you want to correlate your scores in math and science, sinabi mo tumataas yung scores ni math, bumababa yung scores ni science. For example, kung yun lang yung tinitignan mo, hindi siya enough. Bakit? Wala tayong descriptive data. Okay? Si descriptive data, binibigay niya yung mean, for example. Tinitingnan natin ilan yung naging score ng mga bata or what is the average score ng mga bata sa math? What is the average score ng mga bata sa science? And by that, as you check the given formulas, kung titingnan natin yung formulas, laging kasama si mean or other central tendency sa pag-compute ng given treatment. So, kaya kailangan kukuhain mo talaga yung descriptive data. And of course, syempre, kung kinuha mo na yung descriptive data, you need to give your analyzations or you need to give your interpretation about the data. Simply, compare mo lang naman, mas mataas ba yung average score sa science, mas mataas ba yung average score sa math, and so on and so forth. So, yun po. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sir Jerome. I think we have covered everything, like all the queries that we have for this session. So I'll be calling Sir Dustin for us to proceed with the program proper. Thank you, sir.
Enlightening. We are truly grateful for your invaluable contribution for this webinar, Sir Ramos. As such, we would like to present our token of appreciation, this certificate. Please allow me to read the content. This certificate is awarded to Jerome D. Ramos for imparting his valuable insights in inferential statistics during this webinar, quantitative data analysis, understanding relevance of research techniques, given this 28th day of January 2022 at Unida Christian Colleges, Imus City, signed by Jocelyn Dimala, School Principal, and Bishop Edgardo Marquez, School Administrator. As we are taking pictures, I would like to inform the audience that please do not leave the webinar yet. We are about to release the evaluation form and release the webinar certificates. Now, to properly wrap things up, we would like to invite Sir John Arvin Glo, Research Department Specialist, to deliver his closing remarks.
Good afternoon, researchers. It is a pleasure to be with you all today. I commend the presentations and active discussions of our speakers, Mr. Villapranca and Mr. Ramos. Therefore, I can conclude that the purpose of the webinar has been completely accomplished. As they say, statistics is a scientific investigation which collects data that turns into investigation and information into insight. This was further strengthened by Marcus Aurelius, and I quote, "Nothing has such power to broaden the mind as the ability to investigate systematically and truly all that comes under thy observation in life." I hope that what you have learned through the webinar will help you a lot, especially in conducting your research studies. Finally, on behalf of the research department, I would like to express our gratitude to all the speakers, committee, and of course, our dear participants for being with us despite their busy schedule. I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of the webinar session. In these times of uncertainty, we hope you are staying healthy and safe. God bless everyone.
Can we please have Ms. Christine Muñez, faculty from the Research Department, to lead us with the closing prayer?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the success of this webinar. We know that you have blessed us with this success, and we are very grateful for the knowledge and wisdom that you have provided to our speakers, that they were able to share with us valuable insights and information that we can really use in our doings. And also, we thank you for the time and opportunity to really help not only our students, but so as our teachers, faculties, and other individuals that are here with us today virtually. We ask that you still guide us as we go, and that we were able to apply this knowledge in our future endeavors. Grant us, we do this fully aware that our learnings are not only for ourselves, but for the service of other people as well. Lord, we ask for your guidance, and may you help us realize that our plans and actions are not only for ourselves, but for your greater glory. We thank you for everything. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.